English podcast for you. I'm Maria, and I'm so excited to have you here. Whether you're just starting to learn English or looking to improve your skills, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let's learn together and make English fun and easy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Podcast for You. I'm Maria, and today we're going straight into the heart of the home, the kitchen. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever tried following a recipe in English and felt confused by all the words? Maybe you saw, use a whisk to beat the eggs, or chop the onions on a cutting board, and you thought, wait, what's a whisk? And where do I chop the onions? The kitchen is full of tools and action that we use every day, but we don't always know the names in English. That's why this episode is going to help you feel more confident and fluent when talking about food, cooking, and everything in your kitchen. Whether you love to cook, you just make quick meals, or you're learning English for travel, work, or fun, today's vocabulary is super useful. You'll learn the names of cooking tools and utensils. You'll also learn about cookware, and we'll even look at kitchen basics. And this is not just a list. I'll tell you what we do with each item and give you real example sentences, the way native speakers use them. Then, I'll share a little story so you can hear all the vocabulary in action. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and maybe even head to your kitchen while you listen. Because by the end of this episode, you'll be able to say exactly what you're doing in English. From slicing a tomato to boiling pasta or baking a cake. Ready? Let's open the fridge, grab our tools, and start cooking up some English vocabulary together. Let's go over the essential tools and objects in the kitchen. I'll tell you the name and how to use it. Are you ready? Knife for cutting vegetables, fruits, and meat. Be careful, it's sharp. Example. I used a knife to cut the tomatoes into small pieces. Cutting board. Place food on it before cutting. Example. I always use a cutting board when I chop onions. Peeler removes the skin from potatoes or carrots. Example. She peeled the potatoes with a peeler. Grater, used for grating cheese, carrots, or even garlic. Example. He grated some cheese for the pasta. Whisk, used for mixing eggs, cream, or sauces. Example. I whisked the eggs in a bowl. Spatula, for flipping pancakes or mixing in a pan. Example. She used a spatula to flip the pancakes. Tongs, used to pick up hot food without burning yourself. Example. I used tongs to pick up the hot sausages. Ladle, a big spoon to serve soup. Example. He poured the soup with a ladle. Colander, used to drain pasta or wash vegetables. Example. I drained the pasta in the colander. Rolling pin, for flattening dough when baking. Example. He rolled the dough with a rolling pin. Pot, used to boil pasta, rice, or soup. Example. I boiled the pasta in a big pot. Pan, frying pan. Used to fry eggs, cook meat, or saute vegetables. Example. She fried the eggs in a frying pan. Baking tray. Used in the oven for cookies or roasted vegetables. Example. He placed the cookies on a baking tray. Stove, where you place your pots and pans to cook. Example. I put the pot on the stove to boil water. Sink, used for washing dishes or vegetables. Example. I washed the apples in the sink. Dish rack, where you place clean dishes to dry. Example, I placed the clean plates on the dish rack. Last Friday evening, I invited my best friend Emma over for dinner. I wanted to cook something delicious and homemade, so after work, I stopped by the grocery store and picked up some fresh vegetables, pasta, and cheese. When I got home, I went straight to the kitchen. I put the groceries on the counter and opened the fridge to store what I didn't need yet. Then I washed my hands in the sink, tied my hair back, and got ready to cook. First, I grabbed my cutting board and a sharp knife. I chopped onions, garlic, and some tomatoes. I used a peeler to peel a couple of carrots and then sliced them thinly. As I worked, I placed all the chopped vegetables into small bowls to keep things organized. Then I filled a large pot with water and put it on the stove to boil. I added a pinch of salt and waited while it heated up. While waiting, I used a grater to grate a big block of cheese. My arms got a little tired, but I knew it would be worth it. Once the water boiled, I poured in the pasta and set a timer. I stirred it occasionally using a spatula just to make sure it didn't stick. At the same time, I put a frying pan on another burner and sautéed the onions, garlic, and carrots in olive oil. The smell was amazing. When the pasta was ready, I poured it into a colander to drain the water. I always use the colander carefully so I don't splash hot water everywhere. Then, I mixed the pasta with the vegetables and added a little butter and the grated cheese. I stirred everything together using a wooden spatula. Next came the salad. I used tongs to toss fresh lettuce, cucumber, and cherry tomatoes in a bowl. I drizzled olive oil and lemon juice on top. Finally, it was time to serve. I used a ladle to scoop some homemade tomato soup into bowls, and I toasted slices of bread in the toaster. I also used measuring spoons earlier to get the right amount of spices for the soup. Not too spicy, not too bland. I set the table, took plates out of the cabinet and forks and knives from the drawer. I placed the warm dishes on the table, and just as I finished, the doorbell rang. Emma had arrived. She stepped into the kitchen and said, "Wow, it smells like a real restaurant in here." We laughed, sat down, and started eating. She loved everything, especially the soup. After dinner, we washed the dishes together. I washed, and she placed them on the dish rack to dry. Then we made tea and had some chocolate from the freezer for dessert. It was a lovely evening, full of laughter, great conversation, and delicious food. And that brings us to the end of today's episode, friends. Now you know the names of many important cooking tools, utensils, and appliances. You also heard a full story with all this vocabulary in action, just like real life. Remember, the kitchen is a perfect place to practice your English. Every time you cook, wash dishes, or make a snack, you can say what you're doing. In English. That's how you build confidence and fluency naturally. Whether you're peeling carrots, boiling pasta, or grating cheese, say it out loud. I'm using a spatula. I put the pot on the stove. I opened the fridge. These small daily moments help you learn faster and remember longer. This week, I want you to go into your own kitchen and choose 5 to 10 items you use every day. Say their names out loud in English. Describe what you do with them using simple sentences. For example, I use the knife to chop vegetables. I put the bread in the toaster. I store food in the freezer. You'll find a PDF in the description. It includes today's vocabulary, example sentences, and the story. You can read it out loud, shadow my sentences, and practice speaking with me. Keep practicing every day, and I promise, you'll feel more confident in the kitchen and in your English. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, happy cooking and happy learning.